But speaking of Monty Williams and speaking of his favorite player, Killian Hayes, so James Edwards this week had reported that Detroit was close to trading Killian Hayes before Williams' arrival, but Monty wanted to work with Killian. He thought that there was something there, from afar. Monty admired Killian's game. So my question to you is, do you think it was a mistake not letting Troy Weaver try to get something for Killian Hayes this summer?
To be honest with you, I do understand Monty's side, although we disagree with it because hindsight, obviously. He played well down the stretch of last season. So starting at guard and playing significant minutes during that stretch, of course. That was, but the unfortunate part is that is probably the highest value you'll have of Killian. That is the highest value. Him playing the way he played then last season, that was the highest value you would have gotten for Killian Hayes. Now that that's the gamble that Monty took. And that's why, at the end of the day, Monty's a head coach. He does not work in the front office. And it's Troy Weaver's job to understand that. Like, he'll be like, hey, listen, Monty, I get you want to work with him. But if we're going to trade this guy, and we took a Marcus Sasser, and we think he'll be a tremendous player, we have to trade Killian. Like, this is the highest value he'll have. And, you take into consideration Monty Williams, and I think it's backfired. And now it's came back to bite them in the ass. Like, Killian Hayes' value is all-time low. He's getting DMPs. He doesn't play. So a San Antonio Spurs is going to come along and be like, hey, let's take him off your hands for scraps. When I think regardless, it wouldn't have been great, but you would have a better offer last offseason given how he played to end the year. So, yes, I do think it was a mistake. It was a big mistake. To listen to Monty in that instance. I get why he'd say that. Maybe there's unlocked potential. No. Looking back on it, yes, it was a big mistake.
Yeah, I had conversations with, Corey Woods, former coworker of ours. And
great guy. Love Corey.
Yeah, love Corey. Shout out to Corey. The guy works his ass off. I was like, if Monty can turn Cameron Payne into a quality player, I was intrigued to see what he could do with Killian. And, at the time, we didn't know that Monte Morris was going to be out for, half the season. Like, he was healthy. Like you mentioned, you trade up to get Marcus Sasser, who is a combo guard, if you want to categorize him that. He can play a little bit of point guard and shooting guard. And you kind of look at the roster, you're like, yeah, there's a lot of point guards on this roster. But I understand it from Monty's standpoint, like you. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's some untapped potential that, Jarek Jack and myself can work with him. Obviously, we've watched Killian for the past 4 years. What I'll say about Killian Hayes is great defender, good passer. Mm-hmm. The offensive game just hasn't come around yet. And I don't know if it ever will. He might just be a backup point guard, and that is completely fine. Like, if he could just be like a Marcus Smart type of player on another team as a backup, I think that's okay. And some players are that. But it's funny because we get news today that his team wants to be dealt. He wants to be traded because he's not getting playing time. He's not getting DMPs. And there was a sports book earlier this week. I want to put this on the screen. And they have his top 10 odds. You mentioned the Spurs, like they're obviously a favorite. And I know people are going to go down to the Shanghai Sharks and laugh, like how is that number one? But I know some people are going to say that. But I mean, like the 5 NBA teams that are favorites, they need point guard help right now. And the European teams, 2 of those teams he's already played for. He's already played for Gillette, and he's already played for the number 6 team. That's where he played before he got drafted.
Not Gillette.
Yeah, like Gillette. he played Gillette. Yeah, like he had played, for Gillette when he was a teenager. But like the fact that a Vegas sports book, Shanghai Sharks, is number 10, man. Like, I don't know. I know some people are going to laugh at that. I know they are. But I don't know. I just kind of look at the whole, because I wanted to put context to it, because Monty said, they're like, oh, it's Monty's fault why he's still here. Like, well, at the time, like, we didn't know Monte Morris was going to be out for the year. Like if
It's
Monte
true.
Morris was 100% healthy, maybe they do trade him. Maybe they're like, hey, we got Monte. Like we don't really need Killian. Monte's a, proven veteran backup point guard, but he gets hurt. And I think that's a big reason why Killian did get to stay, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I think at this point you know what Killian is like, and he is a backup point guard, and even for the Marcus Smart comparison, like what Marcus brings on the floor leadership wise, on top of his 3-point shot, which has actually improved during his late years in Boston, like he became a respectable catch and shoot 3-point shooter. Like he brought value in his defense. Like I mean, the guy won a Defensive Player of the Year. So like even the Killian Hayes thing, like he'll never win a Defensive Player of the Year. So, because before I fell victim to that early on, I'm like, I looked at the Marcus Smart arc and I'm thinking, man, like, I didn't think he'd win a Defensive Player of the Year, but I'm thinking maybe he can be a respectable role player. He can provide and be tough on defense. And it just isn't the case. Like, he's such an offensive liability that you just can't play him. Like, and he doesn't have the versatility like an Asar Thompson or the athleticism that an Asar Thompson has, like, where you can kind of get away with it. And Asar is much more versatile, but the Killian Hayes thing is the Spurs make the most sense because of their obviously with Tony Parker and their history with developing foreign players. And you go play with Victor, but I don't know. Like I don't even know if any situation could make like you'd think on this roster with the opportunity he would have a better opportunity to grow. But maybe what he needs is to be on a team, be a ninth, eighth man, and just be kind of insulated by NBA veterans. And like you don't really notice Killian because there's other players, there's other things happening. He's probably playing 10, 15 minutes a night. Like the Pistons, I think it's over. Like I know his team came out and said they want him traded. Well, guess what, buddy? Like, yeah, we want you traded too. I think it's just a bad fit, and I think we've seen enough of Killian Hayes. We have at this point. It's almost like it's like the baby was born at the hospital and you tried to take him back to the hospital and be like, can you take him back? Like that's what his former team, when he played as a teenager, being on that list means. Like, no, you got Killian. He'll be in the NBA, but he'll be at best a seventh man and eighth man, I would say, not even a seventh man. Like I think what he is now, what he'll always be to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the comment section right now, like Do It Effortless, said, Killian has had 4 years to get better, and he hasn't gotten any better offensively. No. And I think that's 100% true. When he was here as a rookie, he had to play with DeLon Wright, which I get why Casey did that. You want to put a vet out there just in case, he freaks out because he's a rookie, but he's had every opportunity to take the keys and say, this is my team. And he just hasn't done it. It's weird because you look at him and he's a pretty big guard. Like he's a 6'5" guard, and like sometimes he plays like he's 5'6". Like he just does not play his size. Like I thought when the Pistons drafted him, I said, wow, you're getting a 6'5", 200-pound guard that's just going to be able to bully opposing point guards, getting to the basket. But like he hasn't really done that. He's got like these like weird floaters. He still can't finish with his right hand. He's so left hand dominant that like it's almost like he won't finish with his right. He just won't do it. It's always left handed. So I think a change of scenery, to your point, would be good. I just don't know how much playing time he'll actually get. Obviously, when you get traded, they're going to want to see like what he can do. But I think at the end of the day, he's probably going to be on the bench or at best in the G League. That's just what I think his career may be. And I know I'm probably going to get hate for it after this live stream's over because people think I hate Killian Hayes. I just don't hate him. I'm just realistic. I just think as a backup point guard, I think that's going to be his role in the NBA. And I just don't think he's going to be a starter on any team.
Yeah, and the confirmation that that's true would be he had more room for error here in Detroit and still couldn't develop. So when you go to another team, the rope you have to make mistakes or the room for error will be significantly less. So why would you think he would thrive there? I think for Killian, his opportunity was in Detroit, even his first year. That was I believe that was one of the last years with Blake. He got to play with veterans, and it just didn't work out. Like I don't think Killian mentally he doesn't have the mentality to be a foundational franchise player. He never had. He never had it. Even coming out, he has all the physical tools. right? Like 6'5", like you said, 200 pounds, good handles, left-handed, but again, he can't finish much with his right hand. He, like you said, he plays smaller than he is. Like he doesn't, it's not like he's posting guys up being 6'5", 200 pounds against smaller guards. He's shown flashes defensively, but especially in today's NBA, if you can't score at an NBA level, there's no room for you. There's guys all over, like look at Marcus Sasser. I mean, he comes in right away and he's a bucket. Like there's guy, and he's a good defender too. Like there's more where that came from, unfortunately for Killian. So even if he goes to his next destination, like at best he'll be the back end of the bench. But hell, I mean, after a while he might just be waived and he might just be a free agent. I mean, who knows? And he might be in a G League situation or playing overseas, to be honest with you. I don't know about Shanghai. I mean, maybe a little disrespectful, but who knows? He might join Jimmer Fredette. I mean, who knows? Hell.